Hello everybody, this is True Demon the Devil Stockbroker. In this video what we're going to go through is the actual structure of Darkpool trading and how Darkpool orders get filled. The purpose of this lesson is to just give a little bit more context to how Darkpool trading works, what its purpose is, and how institutions use it. So, we won't delay, let's get straight into it. Alright man, go ahead with your question again.
I was just wondering if the institutional money would actually fill orders through the dark pool, since we're talking about fail to delivers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Could you speak on that, please?
Yeah, so there's a specific structure to Darkpool orders, especially when it pertains to market makers or brokers, whoever it is that's failing to deliver stock. The so the way that FTDs work, essentially, just to like kind of preface this whole thing, is that any failure to deliver any kind, whether somebody fails to deliver a short, whether somebody fails to deliver on a call option that they were assigned, whatever it is, there's multiple ways to fail to deliver, but ultimately it's up to the broker to make that delivery happen. So their responsibility is to provide those shares to whoever they are owed to. And the counterparty who actually sold the call or who is not able to cover the option or not able to cover their shares, they're the ones who actually are put at risk. So let me go get my trading view. Over here you have your broker. We'll just draw them as a big house. This is the broker. All right. So the broker has a whole bunch of clients. So the broker's clients are the ones who actually hold on to they hold the shares on the broker's books, right? And these are made up of very tiny blocks of shares. So we'll just treat these rectangles as blocks of shares, okay? But all of these sit on the broker's books as one giant inventory. So all of this stuff that is owned and marked on the client's portfolio is actually sitting on the broker's books. All right. That's the inventory for the broker. Now, whenever there's a failure to deliver or a significant number of failures to deliver, we'll treat this one as just a whole block of shares that have totally failed to deliver. Okay. So this is a bad block of shares. Okay. What the broker must do is they must go out and supply that missing block of shares out of their own inventory. And then they deliver this to the counterparty. And the counterparty is who the client actually owes shares to. But it's the broker's inventory that those shares actually come from. What the broker does is they mark the position against the client's portfolio and the client gets issued a margin call. Now, this creates a deficit. So now the broker is undersupplied from its inventory. And now they must eventually cover these. Now, they have several techniques for doing so, but this deficit in their inventory must eventually be covered. And this is where the failures to deliver come from. If the inventory itself grows more and more into deficit, then the broker ends up in a larger and larger failure to deliver situation. Now, as more and more of these failures to deliver occur and more clients receive margin calls, this puts the broker at greater risk. And eventually, the counterparties stop receiving their shares. This is where things get really out of hand. So the broker, in order to avoid this situation where the counterparties are no longer receiving their shares, is they need to go and turn to the dark pool. Now, most of this is actually happening within minutes or less. It happens so quickly. Now, in the dark pool, all it really refers to is just an alternative trading system or an alternative exchange which does not have a, shall we say, an open order book. The way that you read L2 order book data is not the same in the dark pool. The dark pool system instead reads orders as a single order to be filled. So the broker sends an order. So the broker's order to fill up this inventory goes into the dark pool, okay? And this order is now sitting on the dark pool. We'll just say that this order is to buy 3 million shares at whatever price they set. We'll just say, 3 million shares at whatever, $2 per share. Just arbitrary numbers. Okay, so that's a total order of $6 million or less. Now the rest of the dark pool cannot see this. It's totally opaque. The dark pool doesn't actually see this order. It doesn't see what the price is. They don't see how many shares somebody's asking for. They don't see any of that. Okay. Now the counterparty, this is the other side of the trade. The counterparty of the dark pool counterparty is looking to get rid of their shares. They see risk in the same asset that just so happens to be in demand for a broker. And the counterparty is looking to offload some shares. Now, this could be actually made up of multiple counterparties. This could be made up of hundreds of individual orders, very large orders from other institutions, which are looking to offload risk or to just move some stuff off of their books. And they see that there is a falling price in the asset, that the asset is depreciating. So you might have one counterparty might sell 1 million shares at $1.80. You might see another one sell 500,000 at $2.10. Let's see. We'll just keep working this out. And then we'll just assume that they sell the remainder. That's 100 and that's 1.5 million at 185. All right, so you got 3 separate orders, and this is the total amount that the broker is looking for. These are separate counterparties, each of these orders, and they all have different prices. Now, once the last order is actually issued, then the fill happens. So as soon as there is a sufficient supply of shares that is actually at the notional value of what the broker is looking for, the dark pool order is filled. And that causes this to be executed and for that block of shares to be resupplied to the broker's inventory. And then at that point, their inventory is satisfied and they no longer have these failures to deliver on their books. And that is how these dark pools are typically used. And because these are totally opaque, this fill doesn't actually print to the tape until much later. And that's what makes the dark pool so advantageous for these institutions, because this is a massive order and this takes hours to fill. This order may have taken all day to fill. Hell, it could have been sitting on the dark pool for several weeks before somebody actually supplied enough orders to fill that order. But once that actually fills, there's a massive delay. Up to 3 hours later, does this finally print to the tape. So there's a huge delay in these fills, and at which point it doesn't actually move the market price in any way. And that's what the advantage is for dark pool orders. And this is also the major advantage that brokers and institutions have when they are in these situations where they must deliver a large number of shares in order to either cover risk or offload risk. They're able to do so privately on a venue which is totally opaque to the broader market. So hopefully that explains the whole process of dark pool ordering systems and how brokers can use this. But this is a long roundabout way to answer your question is yes, they can order this and cover failures to deliver through the dark pool, and they frequently do so. It's intended it's intended to be used this way. These large institutions to be able to move such large numbers of shares in order to play hot potato with risk all the time, and hence why we see such massive volume in dark pools frequently. Because this broker may only need those shares for the day. They may only need them for an hour, but they need them. And so they need to move a large amount of shares very quickly. This is how they'll do it.